clear, coming through Geocache Talk. A voice on the line I hear, coming through Geocache Talk.
It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness.
Big thanks to the Trail Bugs for the music and our featured patrons, Little Black Dog, Irish Allen, R Cool and PJ Cool 711, CJ Hove. Thanks, Carl, for being on a couple weeks ago. Lady Black Cat, not Little Black Dog, but Lady Black Cat, although they have met, which is funny. RAR 285, Chihuahua Jill, R&M Cashers, Cal Running, and our new patrons, Merlin 1392, Kenny Mason Maddie, the Four Lunsfords, Geocache, and RX Wranglers. If you'd like to become a patron, click on the Become a Patron link on the front page of the Geocache Talk website, or head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/Geocache Talk for more details. Patrons get the now famous blackout coin. Yours is in the car, probably.
Yeah, it is in the Jeep.
Yeah. Other geocaching items during the year, well as bonus content, invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Well, let me welcome my co-host, Jesse.
Good evening. I'm ready for our show tonight. But I do have to say one thing, and I didn't get permission to do it, so I won't say who it is.
Okay.
But one of those patrons you mentioned,
yes,
I was, because all of us are stat people, right?
Right.
I looked at their stats, which it's not like I did a secret thing. It's
right
on Party GC. And I was extremely impressed at the number of older caches they have.
Wow.
I like finding older caches, so I'm always curious what, other people find.
Sure.
I may or may not be doing research for a book, whatever. But I was extremely impressed with the ones the amount of older caches they had found, right?
Right.
Because Jasmer obviously challenges. I love that stuff. So that's one of the things I always look at. And some people, it's fun to see you can tell by people's stats what they're interested in. Like
right.
What they go for, it jumps out at you almost immediately. So
right.
Again, I'm not gonna say who it was because that sounds creepy if I just like, hey, stats. But it was somebody's stats, right? And
that's good.
And it was I was very impressed, and it's just always interesting to me, the stats. That's not what we're talking about tonight, but
yeah,
it was just kind of a cool thing. But and then the name popped up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the person.
Oh yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I've got. I don't know what is your oldest cache? Do you think that you've kept alive? Do you think? Do you have any that are really old or
that I personally maintain?
Yeah, that you cache own.
I could pull it up. So there's a cache that I actually maintained for a long time that was older than my caching time. So
wow.
2004 cache.
Right.
And I kept it for a long time. I kept it going. The person, it was actually one of those. Are we just jumping straight in, or we want to wait till?
We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. So, it was 2004 cache, long time ago when I was in geocaching, which obviously I started way after that. I didn't start till really like 2011.
Right.
But I'd found the cache, and on the cache page there was a note that says I'm getting ready to move out of the area, but this is an older cache if anybody wants to maintain it. So I was like, I don't even know how to do that. It was brand new. I was like, but I'll do it. I emailed the guy, and so I took it over, and I was able to keep it going for years until the area was on a trail, and they bulldozed the whole area and built a neighborhood there.
Right.
And it was kind of sad I couldn't keep it going, but so it was at least 6 years. The cache was out there 6 years before I even started geocaching. Right. And I got to maintain it for several years too. So that's probably the oldest one I've ever maintained.
That's cool.
Personally.
Yeah. I still have one from 06. I just did cache maintenance. We're talking about tonight. Yeah. I just did cache maintenance a couple weeks ago on it. But ironically, I had another one. It was an '07, and it just was too good of an idea. So I archived that one from '07 and you know
Yeah.
removed it from the and put a new one out there. So I don't know. That's kind of something to it. If it's not, then we talk about this. That's for really
Yeah.
kind of for another show. But
I know. I wish I could adopt one of the ones from the first year.
that's not a show. Oh, I know. That would be great. There you go. But
That's where the show didn't. I couldn't put it in that glass tonight because it is tequila that was a present from a friend of mine.
oh, neat.
I can't have a whole glass, beer sized glass of tequila. I wouldn't finish this show. Or we'd lose that G rating we've kept for so many years. So
exactly.
Now, how cool would it be to own a cache from 2000 though?
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
Sherry says she's got.
Oh, look at that! No way.
Adopted 2001 near Memphis. That's cool. That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I would. If anybody out there has a 2000 cache and they want to adopt it out, I'll take it.
Ed's got a couple adopted too from 201 in his area. That's cool.
That's very cool. Okay, so you want to do the news before we get, because we're going to get sidetracked really quickly.
Yeah, let's get right into show 206 as we talk about geocaching maintenance and we discuss some news. Cue the news music, which we don't have. We need to get some news.
News music. Come on.
We need news. We need a little opening or something. We got this.
We got to get big time in here. What's wrong with that?
That's right. We got to get the show more classy. That's right. I mean, we got to compete. We got 4 other shows that we're competing with.
That's right.
On our own network. So we got to step up our game.
We're the oldest. All these young whippersnappers coming in.
I
taking
know.
all of our peeps away.
Doing all their fancy podcasting. We need to get in there
gadgets and stuff.
I know. Crazy.
All right.
People are going to forget about us. Oh, well. So what's Audie talking about? The show is going to be made. Oh, no.
Oh, well, we knew about that. Isn't that the one we were going to go check on? You and I, one time, we talked about checking on that when we were going to be in town.
Oh, somebody ruined it? Oh, that's terrible. Somebody ruined your barn doors open in Colby. Huh. That's sad. That's a cool one. I actually saw that one when I was out there one day when I didn't tell anybody when I was there. But it's very cool, Audie. I hope that you can get that one fixed. Oh, it says it's going to be a maintenance nightmare. I'm sorry, my friend. Very, very sad. UDAC. News. All right. Ready to get into some news?
Do you remember Gary Gnews?
Gary Gnews? No.
Oh, I bet somebody in the audience does.
Okay.
It's from, at least from my childhood. It may not be.
Was it?
A couple years apart, so.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. All right.
Couple years.
Good news.
Appreciate that. Okay, first announcement. This comes from our buddy, our one and only Dave Barsky. He wanted us to mention that Dirty Jobs, the road trip, Mike Rowe, apostrophe D trip, road trip. Hopefully y'all caught that last week. First episode, it was fun. It's neat. It's sort of a montage, and then they cut back and forth between Dave and Mike Rowe and the crew, and they're in a Winnebago or some sort of RV, and they're traveling. And road trip. So it was great. We get to see a lot of Barsky and interaction with him, and hearing great stories of them on the things that they did, crazy things from the past. It was fun to watch, and so he wanted us to know that this Tuesday, his show is on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. You got to catch this next episode. So put it on your DVR, do what you got to do, but you got to watch episode 2. Apparently there's some sort of tie-in with geocaching. So everybody needs to make sure and set their DVRs to Discovery Channel Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Or whatever time it is on in your local location around the world. So, okay.
Yeah. DVR so you can watch Puzzle Talk.
Definitely.
At the same time, watch Puzzle Talk, use your DVR.
Yeah, DVR it for later. So definitely.
So why is it that we get so geeked out anytime they mention geocaching on like a TV show? There's no reason for that, really. There's millions of people that play the game. It's popular, but we still get so geeked out. Like when you watch an episode of a TV show and they mention geocaching, usually poorly, but when they mention it, I don't understand why we get so
It's still a
day for fun too, but I don't get geeked out when they mention football on a TV show.
Yeah,
like baseball, soccer, stuff like that. Nobody cares. Well,
yeah. I think it's just because we're all still sort of in a niche sport in a sense. Although so many people,
maybe it's because we're geeky enough to call it a sport.
Yeah, that's me. I call it a sport.
I think it's just because we're nerds. I think that's what it is.
Could be.
Get around it. There's nothing we can do.
We're caching athletes.
Cash elite.
Cash leets. Yeah, wow, there you go. You like that? Hey, the other day I did 2 adventure labs. I thought I was going to die. I mean,
did you walk to these or drive to these?
I walked.
Oh, look at you.
And, I mean, my son Caleb and my wife, they about killed me on this trip that we just took.
Yeah.
It was good for me. I mean, I ate like a pig and I didn't gain any weight because I walked miles.
Nice.
I mean, I walked every day. I had a ton of steps and man, I was hurting, but it was worth it because again, I didn't get anything. So now I got to work on keep walking a ton and not eating as much. Maybe it's going to work out. The only people who care about the difference between geeks and nerds are geeks and nerds. That's true.
I think we're going to trademark that term.
Right.
Cash leaks.
Cash leaks. So it should be
go out and get a website for it.
Cash leaks. I think it's going to look like that.
Cash leaks.
Cash leaks instead of athletes. Cash leaks.
I'm okay with it.
Maybe drop the extra E. Okay, we're getting way off topic here.
Okay, yeah, we had some more news.
We have some more news. So, got a note from our guest from last week, Jesse Tuttle, about this event, and of course, it's a little controversial. Jesse and I got into discussions about it, but we're going to mention it, and everybody make up their own mind about what to do with it. But anyway, there is an event coming up. It's August 15th. I forgot to put that in the note. Here, I'll change it, put that in there. In case you want to go to this,
Here we also got, look.
Go at your own risk.
Look, cash leads, that's for another show. You know what that is for another show? Because I think we need to talk about that. We've mentioned that before, but it really can be good for your health.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we had a great time. We had a great time. But
Geo-athletes. That sounds even more impressive.
Geo athletes. Okay.
No, Geocathletes. So it sounds like I don't know, some kind of track thing.
We'll keep on brainstorming that one. So
yeah.
Okay, so GC8 multi. God, I need to get better at my thing. Multi bison 6 nature.
There you go.
I had to cheat. I have a cheat sheet right here, and I need to memorize the Altoid Bison Container Difficulty Event Fizzy Ground Hike Ivy Jasmer Kayak Leo Multi-Nature Outdoor Puzzle Query Rating Search Terrain. We changed it from Tweezer. Urban Virtual Water X-File Yuma Zone.
I like it.
There is your alphabet, your geocaching alphabet. So this is the Barbecue, Bourbon, and Bluegrass Geo Tour event kickoff, because there's going to be a Geo Tour in Owensboro, Kentucky. And the event is August 15th. I think I got the date right. Did I get the date right? Let me double check. August 15th. Yes. August 15th. They're close to Mega. In case anybody's interested in that fact, they're getting close. They're at 250, and you just need 300 to apply for the status. It is 10 hours. It's at least 10 hours straight driving for me. It's probably further for you, Jesse, to drive all the way to Owensburg, Kentucky. But anyway, we have now mentioned that. Yeah, Terraviators, they're the ones that know there's no better X. Yeah. The Terraviators were the ones that came up with, or William came up with thank you, William, for the geocaching alphabet.
It is on the back of one of my favorite shirts.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is all the announcements I'm allowed.
We can't make an announcement on the other one other than we're working on something.
Big.
Yeah, big. So it's going to be a while. So it's not like we're just teasing. It's going to be a while, but
huge. It's huge.
Yes. It's going to be a lot of fun. No matter what state of the world is in and time's coming up, we're setting up some fun for it either way.
It is. Yeah, Sherry. Sure, you can't spit it out. No, this one is so big. Even I'm not going to spoil this one. So, Scott,
we're going to get on topic anyway.
We are on topic.
He's right. We're getting on topic.
We're on topic
now because this is going to be an interesting one because Gary has a bunch of opinions.
Well, you do too. You have a lot.
Maybe you have one or two.
Do you want to do your caveat?
Yeah, so here's how many opinions we actually have. We were making notes on this, and we thought we'd have to remind people at this point, just because Gary and I both have our own opinions on this. They're different, but mine get heated sometimes. So I want to lead off by saying these are just our opinions. You may not like or agree with any or all of them. That's okay. It'd probably be boring if you agreed with everything we said anyway, right? So having said that, we're here to inform, but also have fun. And as we always say, we're not telling you what to do. We're giving opinions. We want everybody to play the game however they want to play the game. We've always said that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Jinxer's right, too. If I drank a whole glass of all the beans. But so all the stuff we're talking about tonight, like some of it's tongue in cheek. Some of it actually is good information. You know, some of it's our opinions on things. But at the same time, we're not telling anybody how to play the game. We are just players just like everybody else, and we want you to play the game whatever makes you have fun, you know? Like the biggest thing we've always said is like there was a big campaign in the past, like no micros and everything has to be an ammo can, and none of us agree with that.
Right.
You think you should play the game however you want to, and if you play it different than us, that's good. We want people to play it different because that's what makes it fun. So
exactly. We're
going to joke about a lot of stuff tonight, but it's not meant as a template for anything other than just making you think about how you want to play the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got several things we're going to talk about. We're actually going to mention some things that geocaching.com mentions about geocaching maintenance. So, you know, we're going to cover it in various ways. So I like your beginning because it's interesting. It's a different take on geocaching maintenance that I don't think many people really have stopped and thought about, which is, do we have too many geocaches?
And that's like sacrilegious to say, right? Like, who says, do we have too many geocaches?
Nobody that's a diehard geocacher says that, or do they? Or do they?
Or do they? But, and so we've talked about this many times, and we've gotten to this discussion of like geocaching says it a lot. HQ, I mean, they say it a lot. And we say it too. The question has always been, how do we promote more quality?
Right.
Well, quality and quantity. Now, everybody likes quantity, right? Because we like to go out and be able to find 50 caches before breakfast. That's cool. Yeah. But if you really want true quality, it's probably not going to come with quantity because people have to have jobs and a life. And I don't know that many people that get to do like full-time geocaching. We've met a few people that are pretty close.
Sure.
But most people, when they put out a crap ton of caches, it's usually because they want to get a number up there.
Right.
They're not all WVTM caches,
Right.
Obviously, we interview the exceptions on the show. That's the interview. We get, WVTM and Chad, and we get all these people that make amazing stuff happen. But those people are the exception.
Right.
So is there too many out there?
Yeah. Jesse puts Mr. Tuttle puts out a good thing here. He says, I've seen entire towns and cities with nearly no caches. That is true. I have seen that as well. It is an interesting thought because I don't know if anybody specifically comes to mind for you, but for me, I know of a couple who put out, an S ton of caches. I mean, they were almost like a throwdown. Basically, drive by and fling it out the window. That's almost, it was kind of like a power trail, I guess. I mean,
right.
You mean it whether that's wrong or not to just have now they didn't throw them out the window. I'm kidding about that. But you could go down a road. You could stop about every 528 feet here in the U.S. and you could pull off as best you could the side of the road. You go over to the first tree, and there's a cache at the bottom of the tree. So, is it? I mean, that's quantity. It's not quality.
That's 100% quantity.
It's 100% quantity.
I go out and find power. I go at least once a year and find a power trail.
Right.
Me and a buddy of mine, like we've talked about on the show before. Me and a buddy of mine, we find a big, huge power trail, and we do a guys trip.
Right.
Once a year, although it's a guys trip, but it's not only guys. But the typical guys trip, and we go out and did a huge numbers run once a year.
Yeah.
So I'm still for those. We're just talking about maintenance right now, right? So, So the question with do we have too many caches out there is really tongue in cheek because it's not do we have too many caches in the world? Do we personally have too many caches for a lot of people?
Sure. No, you're right.
Because it's unlimited. I could hide a cache every single day for the rest of life, and
that's true.
There's no restrictions on it, or 10 caches a day. But do I ever plan on maintaining those? And if I leave tomorrow, there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes up with that, right?
I know that I don't know, you have to speak to this for yourself as well, but I know that I hide less caches, but I hide better caches. In fact, I'm working on one. It's not ready yet, but I've got me a birdhouse.
Nice.
Covered up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not complete. It's not painted. It's not ready, but it's getting close. I got to paint it and get it all set. It's got to have a specific paint on it based on what I'm putting it out at our cotton museum here locally. I already talked to them and putting it out. So this will be fun. This will have an interesting, way to open the cache. It's, I don't do huge gadget type stuff, but it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to try to figure out how to open it, that kind of thing. So, I'm doing more, I think, of these. I think you were saying you wanted to start trying to do more.
Yeah. So
interesting stuff.
Yeah. For me personally, now I've hidden a bunch of, I don't know how many you've hidden. Do you know how many you've hidden total?
A couple hundred, but a lot of them are archived now. Yours is a little different because you got so many events. I wish there's a way they filtered events. Sorry, I bumped my thing. I hope that there was a way that you could filter the events from caches just so you could see it better, maybe.
Yeah. So, they have that new dashboard, which we haven't really talked about lately. HQ put out the new cache owners dashboard, which is pretty interesting, and I haven't really played around with it too much yet, but that just came out this last week or so.
Yes.
But
people thought some people really loved it. I looked at it and I was like, I mean, maybe I'm bad. Maybe I'm a cynical. I'm not the person that maybe thinks this is a great. I mean, it's cool. I mean, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't see it as a great.
It looks like I'm hitting close to 350.
Oh, cool.
But 130 of those are events.
Yeah. I'm looking at the cache owner dashboard, and it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool, I guess. I mean, It tells me how many found logs I have, shows me how many favorite points. I have 8,500 found logs. I have 447 favorite points. I mean, I don't get into that. Those numbers to me aren't some people love it. I mean, which is fine.
I do like the numbers. But so interestingly, and we'll probably get into it later, but this discussion and others lately have gotten me to think about. I've gotten rid of a few of the older caches I had out there that were either Master Prime or lower quality. I'm trying to keep only the highest quality caches I have out there. So
right.
Other than that, we'll get into that. All those things we'll get into eventually. Though.
Yeah.
So I guess the kind of questions I put along with that is, do you think there should be a limit to how many caches? If we were going after quality, do you think should be some kind of limit to the number of caches you can hide per year?
I think so. I think I would like that. My initial thought is that I would like that sort of like favorite points.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, you can fudge on any number you want. I mean,
we all know you can. Yeah,
you can fudge it. Use text data says no limit. I don't know. I don't know why you would want to have unlimited.
Well, and the counter argument, of course, would be, people that like power trails and stuff like that, and that people want to hide power trails or hide huge amounts of caches. And that's a different style of caching that some people like. And, people like all different kinds, which is, of course, okay. But, okay, so let me ask you one. Yeah.
Well, just finding our way, basically, he's thinking if you wanted to create a power trail of, say, 500 caches and there was a limit, you'd have to jump a bunch of hoops to create all these extra accounts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So that's another good one. Sock puppet accounts.
Yeah.
Do you think unlimited sock puppet accounts are okay too?
So this is a question I don't know the answer to. I'm sure somebody in our wonderful chat room, or you might know this. Could I create? I don't think I can. Can you? And this is not a big deal. You can't create an account with two different with the same email address, right?
I believe you would have to have a new email address.
Okay, but
those are free.
They're like water.
Have you ever created a sock puppet account?
I have created one, if you want to call it a sock puppet account, which is Geocache Talk.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's right. Now Geocache Talk's never hit anything, but Geocache Talk has been to many mega events and such. Because we were there as part of our, part of the show and everything. So,
and you can get into. We could have a whole show on sock puppet accounts, right?
Yeah, really could.
Is that considered double dipping? You claim that mega event, and so did Geocache Talk.
But I don't really claim Geocache Talk as my account. I don't use it like some people use sock puppet accounts.
Right. So, first of all, I'm going to say that every question I asked tonight, I've done all these things. I've made probably a dozen sock puppet accounts.
CPAC Tribe would like you to explain what a sock puppet account is. That's a good question.
And I'll explain what some people do with them, and I'll explain what I've done. So I can, like Geocache Talk, a lot of people wouldn't consider that a sock puppet account because you're making an account for the show, because the show, So quite often I get asked to hide caches for an event.
Right.
And I learned after Geocache 14er.
Yep.
That if you're hiding caches for a big geocaching event,
there's
a downside to doing that on your own account.
Sure, because you'll get.
So I had
100 emails per day, 100 emails per hour, right?
And I've got like 5,000 each emails for those all in one day.
Right.
That was not a good plan.
No, not a good plan.
So from then on, when I started hiding caches or designing caches for people for events, they would just put them under your account. We'll dot them later. Got burned on that once. So then I started saying, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this in the event name or whatever else, or I can call it Scooby-Doo, whatever you want me to call it.
Right.
But and I'll design them all, hide them all, do everything for you for the event. But this is not going to be me.
Sure.
So I've done that several times and made one-off accounts just for events like that. Now I've never made an account, and then there's 2 other accounts I've made before. We had a hiking group once. And then we had a Colorado like traveling group.
Right.
We made an account with that just to show kind of where we had been and track stuff. And there was a trackable on it and stuff too.
Yeah.
So did a couple things. Funny enough, one of those got a virtual.
Right. Right. Because it met the algorithm.
Yeah.
And so once you got all the algorithm pieces in place, they don't know it's a sock puppet account. They just send you
Yeah. Now, I've also heard of people doing sock puppets account just to mess with people.
Yeah.
I haven't got into any of that, although it'd be a lot of fun to do. But
Sure.
But because there's no limit, you could do whatever you wanted to do with them, right?
Right.
All the things I've done were done for good purposes. But there's definitely people that make sock puppet accounts to do weird stuff.
Kenny, the chat room is flowing. I'm trying to keep up. So Kenny's asking, or Mason or Maddie is asking, what happens if someone messages the sock puppet for a hint or question about the cache and goes to the
problem with sock puppet accounts, right? If they're not tied to anybody. Now, when I did them for,
you could forward the email to another email.
Well, when I've done them to help events out, I'll check that email during the event and while it's over. And then if it's like that virtual that's for the team account, that one's forwarded to us, to everybody on the team.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go to my main email. So, but yeah, that's the problem with sock puppet accounts. You got 10 things going on out here, and then you got all kinds of stuff. So,
right.
I don't even know those are called sock puppets, but those are accounts that are outside of my main account.
Right. Right.
But again, Gary goes by the rules, just as we all know. I try to experience every part of the game. Everything I hear of, I'm going to try and find out if it's
what
happened to do. Because I don't care. I have good intentions with everything, and I want to learn how every single thing works.
Right.
So, anyway, sock puppet accounts could be its own thing. The rules are you can open accounts. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to stop a brand new person from opening an account and turning over to a brand new person. So,
which brings up what if you were to create well, I don't know about that, Direwolf. That's going a little far there. But I'll take it. I'll accept that as a sterling reputation. Thank you, my friend.
And you follow the rules. I don't break rules. I just use every single one of the rules that are out there.
You just want to see where
of everything that's out there.
You're like the kid who the parent says, you can come all the way up to this line, but you can't cross it. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go up to the line and see what happens. I'm going to get right next to the line.
Yeah.
Stand right next to the line. Hey, I'm on this side of the line. I'm cool.
Yeah, that's right. You told me where the line was. That's why I'm standing on it.
What about the person who creates a power trail of caches, 200, let's say, to create 200 caches?
Yeah.
Then they go on their own account and they log every one of those 200 in their own account. They obviously know where they are because they hit them.
If somebody did it to just get FTFs, which I've heard of, that's silly and sad.
That is silly and sad.
Now, if like we've had this discussion before, right? Like you do a big event, and I've done many things like where for an event I'll build people where I goes, or build puzzles for people, or do the web stuff for the work, and somebody else goes and hides it, and there's a bunch of stuff going for an event. Now, even if I was part of that as a team to like the build team or whatever else,
right?
I'm still going to show up to the event. And I'm going to go out with people, and I'm going to find the caches and everything else. I'm not going to not do those.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned to me afterward. I thought you should never log them, and then I thought later, that's as long as other people probably log it first. Would you say?
Yeah, I would never be the FTF on something like that, right?
Okay.
And again, I'm not helping people with the intention of being able to know where their caches are.
Right.
Like very early on, there was no where I goes years ago anywhere in my area.
Right.
So I had to help everybody build all the where I goes.
Right.
which either meant I had to decide then I'm never going to go find those,
Right. Or
I'll let tons of people find them, and then I'll eventually go get them.
Eventually go find it. Yeah.
I kind of relate that to, now again, FTF is one of those things that I don't mess with because people get crazy about first to finds.
Sure.
If you're doing it to get that, you're just silly and sad.
Yeah.
But so like one of the big things I always try to do is beta test all my caches.
Right.
I would never tell the person that beta tests my cache, you could never claim this cache.
Sure.
Because why would you ever beta test anybody's caches after that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, that's sock puppets. And maybe we have to have a whole show for that, right? But
yeah,
talk about geocache maintenance. The reason why I brought up sock puppets is the problem I have with sock puppets is none of those other things we talked about. Is when people make a sock puppet, put caches out there, and then never intend to go back and maintain those.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight.
Right. And then that's just trash. That just leaves trash out there everywhere and creates a bad game and everything else. So
yeah, and so that can be bad. Yeah. So how many can I get? Direwolf, you can go out and create you 100 of them. Go create 100 of them right now.
That's right.
Direwolf 1, Direwolf 2.
Caches, and then it's a popular cache.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. We're moving on, right? Let's talk about.
These are our opinions. We're not telling you to go make a sock puppet account.
Yes, we're not.
That's not what we said.
No, that's not what we said.
If you do, and you do a team cache somewhere, maintain that joker. That's what we're talking about.
Maintain it.
Yes.
That's our key. Speaking of geocache maintenance.
Yes.
Some things that I think we don't see enough of, which are DNFs.
So, all right, let me get this started. Hold on.
It gets
So here's one that bugs me so bad. All right. I don't understand why people are so, we've had this discussion offline many times too, right?
Sure.
DNFs and needs archived. It's in the rules. It's not like you're slapping somebody.
Or needs maintenance. Or needs archived.
Yeah, needs maintenance and needs archived. All those, right?
Right.
You're not slapping somebody. It's not a personal insult. You're actually probably saving somebody a lot of trouble and headache and possibly like legal trouble.
True. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I see experienced cachers go into cache. They'll do a smiley face log. Thanks for the cache. They'll do a note.
Right note. Yep.
Cache is destroyed. I'm like, first of all, obviously you didn't find it. It was destroyed.
Right. Number one.
You need your smiley that bad that you had to do it. Second of all, it's not a note.
It's not a note.
Or it's a needs archived.
There's actually a category called did not find.
Yeah. Guess what? And even if they want to claim it and say it's busted, put the maintenance in there so you aren't ruining. If I'm driving through town and there's no, and I'm using Cachly because that's what I use.
Right.
It's just green ones or notes. It's no DNFs and it's no needs maintenance on there. I'm going to stop for that cache.
Right.
So now I stop for that cache knowing the last 5 people didn't find it. They've been claiming it and writing notes for needs maintenance. That's just not good for your fellow cache.
No, it's
wrong. And they even wrote in there that it needs maintenance on a note.
That's on a note.
Like, are you scared? Do you get only like so many maintenance? Does that make you a cacher or whatever? And then here's my favorite I saw recently. This is in a note, not a needs maintenance, not a needs archive, right?
Not a note.
This cache is no longer here, whatever it was, something like that.
Yep.
There's 5 previous needs maintenance on this. This one should probably be archived. You could have wrote one word in a needs archive and it would save you a lot of time. And I'm not talking about when a new person does it, because when a new person does it, that's just education. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference. But when an experienced cacher does that, there has to be another motive. Like they're afraid to ruin their perfect reputation or they don't want to mess up their stats or something. I don't understand why they would do that.
I don't know. Ryan brings up a point. Just write up DNF and send the CO a note. Good grief.
Yeah. So,
here's
what I would say. We've talked about this before. Check on that cache. Okay, so that cache. take 2 minutes. We
Yeah.
all know how to use computers because we're all nerds. We already established that, right?
Right. Right.
Whether it's geeks or nerds, whatever. We play a game where you hunt Tupperware in the woods with computers and satellites, so we can figure some things out.
Sure.
Take 1 minute to go, you know what? This 6 months, nobody's responded on this. There's 3 DNFs, whatever else. Let me check on that cacher. Oh, wait, the cacher hadn't logged in since 2014, hasn't hidden or found anything in 6 years. They're probably not around anymore.
Right.
Maybe needs maintenance for the 6th time is not the appropriate one. Maybe I need to bump it up to needs archived.
Needs archive.
And my standard thing that I do is I say, there's, whatever the problem is with the cache, 4 previous DNFs, or not DNFs, needs maintenance. And it looks like this cacher hasn't been active in 6 years.
Right.
This one probably if this person has left the game, this one probably needs to be archived.
Right.
Perfect note, helps the reviewer out. I always hope I'm wrong. I hope the cacher goes, oh my gosh, I'm going to get back in the game and get going again.
Right.
But if not, you're just adding one more thing and leaving something there that doesn't need to be there.
So Scott brought up about changing it to read needs reviewer attention, because that's what a needs archive will do. It will generate an email to the reviewer.
Yes.
Which I like. I agree, Scott, with Brian on this one. I'm going to assume you agree as well, because maybe it doesn't need to be archived. Maybe the reviewer just needs to step in. Now, I don't know what your reviewer does. Our reviewer in our area, if I put a needs archive, which is rare, but our reviewer will then disable the cache and send a note to the CO. Even if the CO, let's say, like you said, it's a zombie cache, which we're going to get into in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're starting the process.
Speaking of zombie caches, so
got chewed by a local when I logged on needs maintenance. Turns out the CO was dead, and the community was maintaining, but they weren't. So yeah,
so here's the deal with that.
With zombie caches, as we call them.
So zombie caches, we'll talk about that now. So
yeah,
I respect the fact that they were wanting to honor their friend, but breaking the rules to honor their friend is not the way to do it.
Right.
Community maintenance is not a thing in geocaching. What they should have done is archive that cache, or let it be archived, and then put out a tribute cache to him.
Right.
You put out tribute caches to people, caches that passed away, or whatever else.
Right.
Because just like the one that I had in 2004, let's say I moved out of that game, or that guy moved out of the game and I didn't adopt it from him.
Yeah.
That's now on private property. If there's nobody to check on that, and it now gets changed to private property, we're sending people to an area that nobody is checking on, and they could get in legal trouble for it. There's a reason you're supposed to do cache maintenance, is to make sure your cache is still in good area, you have permission, and you maintain the cache in a safe, legal way to do it.
Right.
I respect that people want to honor cachers that have passed away. I know cachers that have passed away. We've had them here in Colorado, and we do tribute caches. That's a thing they do here. They'll do a tribute cache to somebody. That's great. I respect that. But you don't get around the rules to honor somebody. That's not what you want to do, because you're setting somebody up to be in trouble. And especially if you're not maintaining it, then that's even worse, right?
So we're defining zombie cache as a cache that has no head or has no brain anymore. Right? I mean, it's kind of
okay. The way I define zombie cache, and what we've been talking about on the show a lot, is a cache that's still out there. The person is gone. The cache owner is gone.
It's gone.
Now, people tend to maintain that cache. We're not talking about a special cache or, a milestone cache or anything like that.
Right.
We're talking about just a throw down cache in a bush somewhere.
Well, throw downs are,
There's nobody that's responsible for that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And the account's old and gone, so there's no way to put in a needs maintenance. There's no way to contact the owner if something's wrong. There's none of that stuff. That's a zombie cache. It's living past its owner.
Right. Right. The owner's right. So here, I'll even put it in the banner. Zombie caches, owner out of the game.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: a zombie cache, if it's still a good cache, let's just say for sake of argument that it's a really cool cache. It's should be maintained, but it's not. But then again, maybe eventually the log will get full. I'm just trying to think of things that would allow a zombie cache to stick around. Let's say it doesn't get found that often. There's nothing really wrong with the cache other than the fact that eventually
nothing wrong though.
Well, there is, but
let's say you go to the zombie cache, right? You show up there with your kids. Your kids are grown, so they can take care of themselves. But you show up there with babies.
Right.
And there's hypodermic needles around there because now it's a camp.
No, I understand. I'm saying if the cache there's no issues with it, it eventually is going to have an issue or two eventually.
And there's nobody to take care of it then.
Right. There's nobody to take care of it. So it needs to go away.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Property or whatever else. The whole point is if there's nobody to maintain it, it shouldn't be out there.
Right.
Now, at the same time, I think geocaching should have there should be a system, and I know they're working on some stuff in the background where you can adopt those type caches. Like you have here's a perfect example of it. Yes. So I personally think that the CO, when you sign up to hide a cache, part of your permission with geocaching is that I agree that this turns over to the property of HQ if I leave the game for a year.
Right.
So you're not, that it's not just property out there for nobody anymore, right? Old caches and stuff like that, so you can milestone them out and things like that. But you can't just have random property sending somebody to a location, which is sometimes little kids unescorted,
right,
without anybody being checking to make sure that that's safe, legal, and okay. So that's why those things have to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, Linda's bringing up eventually what we were going to mention, which is people are maintaining these caches. Other finders might put fresh logs in them, and so these zombie caches are continuing.
Well, and sometimes you'll have zombie caches that are just not quality.
Right. Well, here's
good space for a quality cache.
Here is, and I got permission to read this.
Okay.
This is from Terry Heavens. She has put this in Facebook on Geocaching 101. I found it interesting, and I got permission to read this. So here is her log her post. There is a cache nearby where the CO has not been in the game for a long time. Zombie cache is what we're talking about here. When placed, it was a very cool concept. It was called foul ball, as it was a baseball drilled to hold a bison tube. It was hidden up in a sapling that had to be pulled down to get the find. That's another story about pulling on trees and stuff, but that's not for this show.
Trees don't cry. Go ahead.
Fast forward 3 years, cache is gone, no CO to replace, and there's now something in the area that would make for a cool location for a cache. But again, it's within the 528 or whatever, for us, it's feet. Interesting train that's been erected 50 feet away, just begs for a cache, but you cannot have one because of proximity issues. Requested archiving is not working because cachers thirsty for a find keep doing drops. The cache is wrong. The hide was wrong. The CO did not do anything to fix it. Groundspeak won't do anything about it because it keeps getting found instead of cachers posting a DNF. If you mark it as needs archived, then it's getting denied. Anyway, that's the dilemma.
Here's how you do that. Needs archived. This cache is being maintained by the local community and is not as the original owner intended. Original owner has left the game.
Right.
This cache should be archived. Needs archived, put it in, push the button, that cache is gone. Because the owner can't answer it.
Well,
it's gone. The reviewer's going to get rid of it.
But the reviewer will get a note if you do a needs archived. Obviously needs maintenance is going completely into the.
If you put that in as needs archive and say nobody is attached to this cache, this owner has left the game. This is not as the owner intended it. based on the cache page.
You should hope. Yeah, you should hope that the reviewer
is not going to take that responsibility on themselves.
Yeah, I would agree. I would think that they would not. Now, I guess Jesse, you know more about this than I would. If let's just say, for sake of argument, that the reviewer comes back and says, "Well, we don't know that information is true. It looks like everything's fine here. I'm denying your needs archived." Can you then send a note to HQ?
You could, but I couldn't imagine a reviewer would go, no, I'm going to delete this needs archived, even though this person is not in the game anymore.
Right. Because I know
that's too much responsibility for them to take on, right?
Yeah. Well, because it's easy to tell. You can go to anywhere. Any of us can go to geocaching and look and see if they've logged in at all. Now,
right.
if they have logged in, then that becomes another dilemma.
And okay, first of all, make a little caveat here. I'm not saying go out there and hunt caches down and try to get caches archived. We're not saying that. We're talking about how to deal with certain issues that come up.
Right.
Right. Okay. We're not advocating to be the cache police. Nobody.
No, we're not. Right. Exactly. But it's interesting because
this is what I've always seen happen.
Yeah, I agree. That's what usually happens.
To the CEO, if they don't answer within 30 days, they get rid of it, which should happen because let's say they've been out of the game and they get that and they want to come back to the game. That's the best case scenario.
Sure.
The best case scenario is not getting a new cache in there. It's getting a cacher to return to the game, right?
The game. Right.
That's even better than anything else.
Yes.
Here's the problem you run into and where it gets kind of iffy, right? I know that there is at least 3 virtuals in Colorado that are zombie caches.
Right.
Should somebody say something? Yes. Am I going to be the one that gets a virtual kicked out? Not even a little bit. There's no way I'm going to be the one that rats out one of those virtual caches and get one of the few virtual caches we have deleted. By the same token, should it be? It should be. But it's also virtual, and I'm not touching it. I'm just not going to be that guy. So, anyway. So that's all up to you, right? You decide what you want to do. You decide what battles you want to fight. But deleting a virtual is not the one I'm doing.
or webcam.
A webcam, because we know that there's several webcams that are crap.
Well,
they're not there. The cameras don't work, and people are doing selfies the whole time.
Right.
Who wants to make us go even lower than 100? We're 90 something now or something, whatever. Yeah. I didn't even check it lately, but I'm not going to be that guy. Even though it's the right thing to do, I'm not going to be that guy.
I'm not either. I'm not going to mess with that one. But yeah, I mean, there's several situations like that. I don't know. What do you do? The virtual question is a good one because what if? And you probably know more about this since you're an Earth cache aficionado. But have you ever run into an Earth cache that you can no longer answer the questions?
Mm-mm. But now, just to be fair, I haven't found that many. So
you found a bunch.
I've hidden several.
You've hidden a lot.
I haven't found tons.
Right. But, what if?
But now part of the Earth cache agreement, when you publish an Earth cache, is you have to answer emails.
True.
So if you're not an owner that's answering emails, technically you're in violation. That thing should be gone anyway.
Right. Right. Okay.
I have seen Earth caches that have been archived or disabled because you can't answer them anymore.
Right.
That's the only way I knew about them. It's not because I went there first.
So you need to explain this in the notes because I'm not sure where you're going with this. Let me put it in the banner because I want us to discuss what are we talking about here? Trackables count as maintenance.
So I think we've talked about this before on the show, but
probably
cache owner, part of your maintenance is checking on trackables that are in your caches.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay, I know where you're going.
Rules, and nobody does it.
Nobody does it.
I do it, and a few people do it, but how that I would just if I was betting money, I'd bet that trackable in the cache is wrong more than it's right.
Oh, I agree.
And there's a whole nother show for that. And there's a million reasons why, right? Like people haven't logged them yet, or you messed up. I just messed up this. Yeah, that's for another show. I just messed up this last weekend and we had some trackables that we took somewhere.
Yep.
And I put the wrong ones that I had with me in the cache. And like I brought one with me. I dipped it in there. I visited it.
Right.
The others I left in there and I switched those.
Oh,
the next person to come behind me said, "Hey," she sent me an email and goes, "Hey, I think you switched these," and I did. And I said, "Oh yeah, I got to fix them." I fixed them.
Go fix them.
Very nice, and she was able to figure that out, right? Because she was the very next person in the cache, so that worked out.
Sure.
So many times, you go to a cache, it says it has a trackable in there.
There's no
trackable was dropped off like 50 ago.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, too, that I would encourage people to do. This is the opposite side of maintenance, right? If you're an owner and you have a trackable in there, you should check on it every once in a while.
Yeah.
And also, as a finder, if it says it's got a trackable in there and there's nothing in there, you may want to put that in your log.
Right.
Cool cache, blah, blah, blah. Do
no trackables, right.
No trackables in here.
But and then the cache owner, this is where it's key. I don't think people realize this, though, that if you're the cache owner, you can mark you have the right and
only you and the owner can mark it missing.
Only you and the owner can do something with it, and you, in a sense, are really to be a good geocacher who does good geocaching maintenance. You should check and then mark it as missing, right?
Yes.
Yes, Jesse's correct, and you're correct. Both you and
that's
Shuttle.
If only there was a system out there. You could talk to somebody about that.
Yeah. Huh.
I did not put that in the notes as a setup either. So
that's good though.
For some new system out there.
GC Trackables.
So I'm only talking about the cache owner part of it right now, right? Right. Oh, look at that. I should go there and check that out.
Oh, GCTrackables.com. Go check it out.
I swear I did not put that in there as a setup for that. I swear I didn't.
That's okay.
But it's just one of those things that sticks in there for me, right? Because my youngest daughter, when we go out caching, she would always like to find trackables. So we'd filter based on that. We would try to find trackables. We'd search around everywhere. But if you're a cache owner and you have trackables in your caches, you should check on them every once in a while and go, oh, they're in there or they're not in there. You know what I mean? Maintenance.
Linda mentions about if they've not logged it yet.
There you go. So if, let's say I have a cache, and I have a cache that I collect trackables in. It's called TV Hotel. It's an AR trackable, AR trackable hotel. I'll go out there and check it. If they're gone, I'll write it. There's a couple ways you can do that. And it's part of maintenance of owning a cache. It's what you agree to. If, it hasn't been there in a while and you've checked and, it's been 3 or 4 months, it's never been there, you can either mark it missing. If you mark it missing, it's going to set a chain of events,
Yeah.
Because it is missing.
It is missing.
If somebody logs it in somewhere, that missing's gone. It's good to go.
Yeah.
But at least the owner knows that you checked on it and it wasn't in the cache.
Right.
It doesn't give like a failing grade to that geocache or to the trackable. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just somebody hasn't. That may prompt somebody to do it. Right.
Right.
Now, again, on the flip side, if you're a cacher and it says there's trackable in there, help the owner out with that maintenance and say, no trackables in here when I found it.
Right.
So then at least they can track back, hey, this is the last time somebody reported there's trackable in there, right?
Right. Which I know what okay. Knowing that Jesse's had some tequila tonight and knowing a button, I know Jesse well enough. We've known each other for years now. I know a button I can push. And I'm going to push that button on Jesse.
Oh, no, I know what you're going to do, too.
I'm going to do it from a distance. So I'm going to push the button right down here on the rib area, the ribs. So how many trackables are in the 14er mega?
Oh, my gosh. So events, and I've hosted a lot of events, right? You know that people go, let's not even talk about megas, right? Because every mega that exists out there, that's not true. Many of the megas that exist out there from years ago still have trackables in them.
I think you've gotten rid of. Let me go check. Go ahead, keep going because I love this topic.
So, but when you host a local event and some cacher comes into the event and drops a trackable off and leaves, like on the main table, They're dirty. That is dirty. You need to hand that to somebody. Don't leave them with the travel tag, a chain, and a big hubcap. Because I've seen that. I got stuck at an event one time with
big tire.
No, it was a toilet seat.
Oh yeah.
Come on now. And you just dropping that stuff off. If you go and look at a bunch of the megas right now, there are still tons of trackables in there.
Let's see how many trackables. Oh, how many trackables are in 14er Geocache? Okay, I got to pull this up because this is. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do it, but I got to do it.
What you got? 80. Yep, Scott.
There's 80. There's 80 trackables.
Now, here's a perfect example of that. If I'm the owner of that, I don't have access to that, by the way.
Right. There they are.
Owner of that, what is my responsibility?
There's all 80 of them sitting out there.
My responsibility, if I'm a mega owner or an event owner, is to mark all of those missing.
Right.
Give it 2 or 3 weeks and mark them all missing. Because every one of those is missing.
Right.
Those are not there. That event is closed. I can tell you for a fact.
Exactly. Look at all those Look at all those trackables. Where are they though, Jesse? Well, where? I mean,
I can tell you there was a group that was supposed to be handling that.
There was a right. I mean, they're gone, right? I mean,
oh yeah, come on, no, those have been gone for a long time.
There's a bunch of AFK's travel bugs are all stuck out here too.
Yeah,
Moga 2016 travel bug participant. I mean, they're gone. I mean, where did they go?
If you own any events that are past events that are closed,
yeah,
check you if you have not gone and checked every one of those to see if there's any trackables still listed in them.
Yeah, I agree. Boy, a bunch of these are just all one. So I guess it's not too bad. There's some more. Oh, Talk Like a Pirate Geocoin is gone. Somebody has it though, somewhere, right? Do you think?
Oh, obviously. Those weren't like swallowed by the event.
You didn't throw them in a bin, right? You didn't, as they say in Great Britain, you didn't throw them in the bin, in the trash. Y'all didn't trash them, right?
Yeah, in the rubbish bin.
The rubbish bin.
No, and so again, if you're a cache owner, if you take on the extra responsibility in the game of being a cache owner or an event owner, it's still a cache, right? That's one of your responsibilities to make sure that trackables don't go missing. It doesn't become a black hole in your event. If they're missing and somebody stole them, that's not your fault. Just mark them missing so the owner knows.
Right.
We know that trackables go missing.
CFO says they're gone with the person that stole the huge ammo can from 14er.
Somebody stole that, by the way. The ammo can that you and I could fit in together from there, made out of wood, somebody stole that.
I can't believe somebody would steal that.
They had to have a truck.
Right.
I know you do because we moved it.
Right.
It took a truck. You cannot pick that up physically with one person.
Why would you steal something like that? How sad and pathetic are you that you would steal that?
I have no idea.
I don't understand people. All right.
In fairness, megas are not a great place if you want. There's no great way to do it. Maybe Jesse has an answer to that, but they always go missing there because people will check them out, and
yeah.
It's terrible. But okay,
we're moving on.
Yes, because I could do that all day long.
I know. I'm sorry, I had to push that button. Okay, we're going to putting out caches you never intend to maintain.
So this is self-explanatory,
but
you
call fire and forget.
Yeah, we all know the people that are like chunking them out the window as they drive down the street.
Kind of, yeah.
And this is not a slam on power trails because
that's different.
I mentioned on the show, but I did one recently, and it was done by Mondo, right? Obviously, that dude has found a bunch of caches, we interviewed him and everything else, and he made a little small geo art. It was like 59 caches. We went out there. They're on a nice road that you can drive down.
Right.
They got rocks around them. There was even like weights inside in the caches so they don't go missing.
Sure.
They were exactly on the coordinates, exactly what you need. That's a power trail that's good. That guy will maintain those. And Mondo, I don't know how. Well, he's retired. He does it. If you,
Yeah, he's got all the time. Yeah.
But that's what he does, right? So he has a ton of caches, but he also maintains them.
Right.
But there's a lot of people out there that just the last time they do it, they think the community should maintain that after that, and
a lot of people go with that they put them out
their part just by putting the cache out there.
Yeah, unless you've got somebody, you've already lined up somebody, and we have a program that we've initiated where if you'd like to hide one somewhere else, we have a systematic program that would allow you to hide a cache in Australia, for example, right?
Yes.
So there's a way to do that properly.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, if you want to boost your numbers, there's ways to do it and still add to the community.
Right.
Not fire and forget caches, right?
Right.
If you don't ever intend to, and I know that people do that, and I'm just giving my opinion on this, right?
Yep.
There's people that put caches out there and they feel like it's the community should maintain those.
Right.
And there's some gray lines there, like with power trails, groups have hidden those so people can have a lot of fun. And when you go, if there's 1 out of 1,000 that needs to be maintained,
yep,
common sense says you're going to fix that little pill bottle and put a new paper in it, right?
Sure.
However, that shouldn't be like the rule of thumb where I put all these out here and everybody else is going to maintain them.
Without making sure that you actually assigned somebody to do it.
Yeah.
You just have this, you're just sort of generally saying, well, I'm going to put these caches out and somebody in the geocaching community should maintain it for me.
Yeah.
That's incorrect.
That's how the rules work.
No.
The owner is supposed to maintain those caches.
Right. Or have somebody designated that will properly maintain them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having said that, if you're firing and forgetting, you're contributing to the problem.
Yeah.
And again, there's a bigger thing to think about, right? Like,
sure.
When the public interacts with these and there's nobody that can be tracked down, it just makes the whole game look trashy.
Right.
It just does.
Okay, we're gonna get through some of these other ones pretty quickly. Here's another one that I think is I like that you put in here because it's interesting. Add coordinates and not updating them.
Yes. I've also seen this recently.
Oh, wow. How about that?
So here's the thing. Everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, at some point in the game, you've been in the game long enough, you've messed up some coordinates.
I did one recently, and I just fixed it because I missed.
You're doing caches, you get so concentrated on something that you move the coordinates, or you're just a little bit off, or you don't, whatever it is. You didn't get it beta tested or whatever.
Right.
Coordinates are off for some reason. Or when you're newer, you don't know all the tricks and of the trade. But what I saw recently, and I was like, oh my gosh. Now, it was a good mentor situation, so it was handled fine, right? But somebody had their cache, they put it out there. It was not where it's supposed to be. Somebody eventually found it and said, I found these cords. It was actually at these cords, which is like 50 feet off.
Right.
And the owner goes, oh, those are better cords. I something like that. They acknowledge that the cords are off. I'm like, okay, so they're going to fix those, right?
Should.
No.
They didn't fix it? They just left it?
Didn't fix it. They're like, yeah, use those cords.
Go fix it. It's simple.
A breakdown in logic here.
You can go in and do it. There's actually now a button, which, by the way, wasn't there back when we first started, but there's a button. You can a cache owner can log a update coordinates, and it does it all for you perfectly. You don't have to. I mean, you just update them, and it updates.
Oh, look, we got a first-time live listener.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yes,
I'm just snipe hunting. That's funny.
I like it. First time. Appreciate you.
I have to really enjoy that name, but
yeah. And Direwolf said the show's almost over. Like, oh, silly man, you know the show's not almost over.
Not if we went through all the notes, which we're not
going to be able to get through all of it tonight.
Okay, so again, part of the agreement, and I know you can just click the box and nobody really checks it, right? For hiding a geocache, there's no system. The reviewers cannot go through all the thousands they get. Which again, I would never want to be a reviewer. That is the dumbest decision they've ever made. They ruined their life being a reviewer, but I'm glad they did because it makes it where we can play the game.
Right.
But they get tons of caches, so they can't check everything and make it right. They can check general things, right?
Right.
But part of the thing is, like you always say, you're getting permission when you check that box. And we all lie about that part. So you're like, oh yeah, I got permission. Of course I did. Check that box. That's an agreement. Like, I'm going to maintain this cache. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. And one of those things is, if there's a problem, you fix it.
Yeah.
I think people are like, oh, I did my part,
Yeah. Very true. I mean, that's, it's a simple thing to fix. All right. You got one here. Replacements outside of owner intent. You're talking about a throwdown? Throwdown.
So this hits a couple things, right? So throwdowns.
Throwdown.
Which, man, I found one of
a wrestling thing.
I put in a needs archived on a cache for this recently. I don't want to sound like, based on this show, that I'm just like firing off needs archived all the time. But I do worry about the safety of things and things like that, right? So we were on our trip recently, and I stopped for a cache, and it sounded like a really cool cache. And it was like a boardwalk into a historic area or whatever. And it was the reason why I stopped, I think it was like a 4-3, something higher terrain.
Something weird, right? Something out there.
Obviously not like a lamppost, right? It was
right.
It was at least over 3.5 on something.
Okay.
And you read the description, everything else, and there's a boardwalk there, and it obviously based on the terrain was lower, the difficulty was higher.
Right.
Obviously based on the cache description and where you were at and the GPS coordinates, you had to go up under the bridge.
Okay.
The terrain wouldn't have been as high as it was. You know what I mean? It was, and the difficulty, it wouldn't have been the way it is. They told me, and the hint was basically, it was something like hobo or billy goat or something that indicated you go under the bridge.
Right, right.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one. Anytime I see a high difficulty, I'm like, whoop,
you're in. Yeah.
So they pull off. It was a great area. There was a historic thing there, and so Christy's geeking out about that. She loves the history stuff.
Right.
And it was a really interesting fact about the state that we didn't know. So we're reading all that. I'm like, well, you keep reading this. I'm going to go down there and get the cache. It's down below the thing. And I go. Yeah. So I go down there, and I like to read the description, which I learned by our mistake. Over the cache. And I read the hint on this one because it was a high difficulty, and I didn't want to be there all day. But I don't read the logs unless there's an issue. Right. So unless I can't find it or whatever. So I went into there, and I'm at the area, and it zeroed out great, and it made sense with the description and the hint. Exactly what it was. So I'm looking around, and it's a micro. No, it's a small. It's listed as a small.
Small, okay.
Which is another issue coming up, but whatever. And I'm looking, I can't find it. And I notice it's been a little bit. So I'm like, Christy, I can't find this. I'm going to look at the logs real quick.
Right.
So if I can't find them, she'll start digging the logs too, because she wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I dig down a few. A couple people can't find it. People found it. People couldn't find it. People found it, couldn't find it, that kind of deal. And then they get one and they go, I replaced it with a pill bottle at the beginning of the bridge. So not only are at these coordinates.
At the beginning of the bridge, not where it's supposed to be.
Not where it's supposed to be. It's not small. And it's not nearly, it's like you stand there. It's basically went to a 1 terrain instead of a, like 2 or 3 terrain and difficulty. And like they gave it the answer. It's under a rock at the beginning of the bridge.
Right.
Out of the bridge. So instead of archiving this and letting somebody else maintain it or hiding their own cache there, and by the way, the cache owner had been out of the game for 6 years.
So it's all.
It just hit everything, right? So I'm like,
it hit everything.
Yeah. So not the right size, not the right terrain or difficulty. The cache owner's gone. They didn't have permission to do it.
Not in the right location.
Location too.
Yeah.
That's a new cache. Just archive it and hide a new cache.
Exactly.
But they did this just because they wanted to find.
Oh yeah.
They wanted to find so bad that they did this totally outside of any of the rules. Why? So now I put it in for needs archive.
Now, did you find the pill bottle?
I did find the pill bottle.
How many? And somebody was asking how many signatures. Is your signature on it?
No, but there's a needs archive on it now.
Good man.
But so it's needs archive, and I said this is a great location, but this is totally out of the intent for the original owner.
Right.
Because that's not the cache. There's no way that was the cache.
Right.
Like nothing makes me think, oh, it just floated sideways. No, it didn't.
No.
It's just kind of silly. I mean, at some point we got to have some integrity, right?
Right.
Now, I have absolutely found caches where I know it's a replacement cache.
Yep.
Like a throwdown or whatever, and I'm like, that looks like it's the exact same thing. Probably it could be the same thing.
Could be right.
Whatever. I'm signed to moving on. I don't want to become the cache police, so I don't tackle every issue.
Right.
At some point, you got to be like, man, that's not even close.
Right.
I found ones that I know are supposed to be like 4 terrains, and I find it at the bottom of a tree under a rock.
Right.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's not an ammo can. That is now a pill bottle. So, you don't want to get into a thing where you're like the morality police or in every battle and fighting or becoming that person that's getting things archived. But at some point, we have to kind of go, this is a maintenance issue. And if you're that cache owner, now that one's out of the game.
Yeah.
But if you're that cache owner and you're letting other people maintain your caches, that's the kind of quality you're going to get out there.
Yeah. No, he was the police. He's no longer the police.
That's right. I am retired. I am not the police anymore.
He's retired. Although Direwolf says once a Leo, always a Leo.
That is true. That is true.
True to the point. Okay, one more before we start to wrap up tonight. And this is sort of a combo. I'm going to throw these at you. This is something I put in the notes.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. What do we do as good geocaching athletes?
Yeah. Cache leads. Okay.
Cache leads. Wet logs, full logs. This is more than I didn't get this just right. Hang on, let me fix this. Edit. Full logs. Broken containers. And let me get this right. That's close enough. Close enough for wet logs, full logs, broken containers, clearly put back incorrectly.
So, wet logs or full logs. I have always tried to keep extra logs.
Yes.
On me. And I will try to do that. Add that. Now, what I don't do now that I did earlier.
Yeah.
I learned better, right? Is I would take the old log and put the new log in. Well, a lot of people want to keep their logs.
Yeah.
Even if they're wet, damaged, destroyed, whatever else. So I don't do that anymore.
Right.
If I can't add a new log to it, then I can move on or whatever. I don't care. It's probably not special anyway if the person's not maintaining it.
Right.
But I'll try to add some paper to that if I can, or I'll do my best to dry it out or scratch my name on there in some way. And, I'll put my name on there anywhere. I don't,
I know you
like a nice, cool plug for Writing the Rain, nice, cool Writing the Rain log or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, Spiral Notebook in some of them where they've got stories and stuff in it.
Sure.
Now, if you see one like that, I'll put the date, I'll put my name, I'll probably write a little story and stuff like that. But if it's just some pull out piece of paper, Walgreens back a receipt, I just put my signature anywhere on there.
Yeah, I'll do that too. And I know you have, I've many times sat in my car with the heat blaring, no matter what the temperature was, just to put the log in front of it and dry that log out. It's just easier than.
So Ryan says he'll put in a Writing the Rain log. Now that is a good geocache ambassador right there. If somebody's willing to put their own stuff in there, Writing the Rain's not free. It's not a Walgreens receipt. You're improving that cache. You're helping somebody out. And I don't mean improving it by replacing their container because that's not what we should be doing. But I mean, you're putting a log in there, adding a better log in there. That's going to increase the experience, right? So
yeah, I mean, technically, you're not supposed to do anything.
Right.
You're supposed to just send a note to the cache owner saying, you need to go do some cache maintenance.
Yes.
It's not my responsibility to fix your cache.
It's absolutely not. Now, generally what I'll do if I add a piece of paper to it or whatever else, or try to help the next few people out or help the cache owner, if I do that though, there's a needs maintenance coming also.
Right. Right.
Broken container. If it's a cracked container, but it's still a functional container, I'll sign the log and write needs maintenance. If it's like the top of a bison and there's no bottom or log to it,
right.
Well, you didn't find the cache. Second of all, that's a needs maintenance at least.
Absolutely. Now,
or if there's like, once you start investigating.
Yeah. I've replaced, is rare, but I have replaced a container with an identical, with if it's broken, like if it's part of a magnet, like the
like the Blinkies?
Key magnets. No, like a key magnet. Yeah. And they're missing the top or something or whatever. And I happen to have the exact same one. Then I might replace the container with the exact same container, but I won't replace it if it's not exact.
So here's the problem with that. If you know the owner, great.
Yeah.
If you don't know the owner and you don't do any other investigating, lazy. So
sure,
you need to at least go in there and see if you're perpetuating a cache that the owner may not even be there anymore.
Oh yeah, I check to make sure that they're around.
Because if you're just keeping a cache going that there's nobody attached to, that's space for a better cache or a safer cache or something way better, right?
No, that in fact that's
active in the game, and like say maybe here's a good example.
Yeah,
here's a Colorado example for you. Let's say, and now granted, we know a lot of the cache owners up here that hide the extreme caches. That's fine.
Sure.
Let's say I get way up into the mountains, and it's a bison tube hanging on a tree.
Right.
And it's jacked because a rock has fallen on it or something else, but I know that owner is still active, but it's a 5-mile hike.
Right.
And his container's messed up and I can do something to help that, I'll do it because that's a significant amount of time to get out there.
Yeah.
It's different than being on a park bench, a mile away from home.
Right. That is different.
Now, I usually, when I go out to those,
right,
I have advance notice, right? Because we're going to get people together. We're going to hike for 5 miles. I usually email the owner ahead of time. And say, hey, I'm out there and something's wrong. Do you want me to do anything?
Yeah.
Because that's special circumstances. But if it's like a park bench, I may not even fix that thing. I may just tell them, hey,
Yeah, it needs to be fixed and move on.
That's totally different. But I mean, I'm talking about a random person, right?
Yeah, random. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the CO is active.
The CO is active. That's the key.
Yeah. Because if they're not active, then, I'll send a note saying it needs maintenance. And then, eventually it should. Really, well, depends on how long they've been out of the game, I guess. You got to hope they come back, but
that's what you always want. You want an owner to get get back into the game and have fun with it, right?
Right, because you don't technically know unless it's been a long time. And I've seen, like, you and I both seen these. I'm sure everybody else has too, where you're like, how long's it been since this person's been in the game? And you go look, it's like 6 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How's this thing 6 years? It's been, and then I'm like you, I'll put needs archived. It's time for it. I mean, there's no cache owner. It's got to go. It's got to go. I don't care.
So Sherry says, I replaced 2 caches a couple of weeks ago for a friend, same type of container, same location, same remaining trip. Absolutely should happen.
I'm good with that.
You know people and you're helping them out, even if you don't know the person, but you emailed them ahead of time and you're going on a cache run of, going for one of their caches, and they say, do you mind checking on it for me? That is what geocachers should be doing. Not fire and forget, not throwdowns, helping each other out. We should be doing that. But that's, they're still active because you talk to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about the last one here? Clearly put back incorrectly.
So what do you mean by that?
I have found, and this is sort of a dilemma, I think. I don't know if I really have a perfect answer for this, but I have found a cache. Well, here's the best example. You look at the description of the cache, and the cache says, or the hint, and it says not on the ground. It says up, not on the ground, and so you find it on the ground.
Yeah,
and you're like, you look at it, and it was clearly meant to be hung in a tree, for example.
Right.
But it's not in the tree anymore.
So, right here, a T4 that should be up in a tree, but it's under a rock on the ground instead.
Yeah. I meant more of the fact that it just sort of it just fell off in the. I mean,
Yeah. So somebody covers it up at the bottom. It should be up in the tree, but people are just continuing.
Lazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I would tell you. If I went today and found that cache, I would claim it.
Oh yeah, I found it.
However, I would definitely write a note, needs maintenance. This is not hidden as intended. The owner needs cache. Yeah. Because if you're the owner and you're not a terrible cache owner, you want it to be up in the tree because that's how you hit it.
Right.
There's always those liar's caches, right? We know that. We've all found them. And I've come upon liar's caches. You probably found some of those too. That are totally not what they're intended to be.
Right.
They're trying to be funny and everything else. That's different. But, if it's like somebody either found it up there and didn't want to hide it back up there again, or like you see those other logs, which are a joke everywhere. Like, I saw the cache was up in a tree, but I couldn't get to it. Smiley face.
Yeah.
No, come on.
And I'm talking more about, because I'm not going to be able to find. I typically, now I've got a better ladder to be used for those kinds. But I'm talking about just within arm's reach. Like, it should be up in the tree. It's like a T2.
Yeah. That's a needs maintenance issue, right? If it's hidden like intended and it's obvious, that's a needs maintenance issue.
Yeah. Would you try to put it back in where you think it should be, or do you not have to? I mean,
I would try to put it back where I think it's supposed to be based on the information, but I would send a note to the owner saying,
I put it back in the tree.
I couldn't tell what the intention was, but this looks different. Now, right. Scott scratched on something that we're not going to be able to touch on tonight.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we're not getting into that.
The cache owner will change the page. Oh my gosh, I cannot even tell you. That is I can barely even not talk about it. Changing a cache page after it comes out. I know everybody has their own opinion. Oh, but we're gonna have to say that for another show.
Yeah, maintenance expectations. That's probably for another show. Because we got a whole. We're gonna keep this for another night because I have
difficulty terrain.
I have the official 7.4 in the help center geocaching.com official maintenance expectations.
So that needs to be part 2 of this show because
it does.
Another hour and a half on that. And then Scott brought up the changing stuff after you've already published the cache, which shouldn't even be allowed anyway.
No, but
no.
But that's not what the rules say. They suggest that you change the DT rating to match what it should be now. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. It's for another.
Insane.
It's for another show. I know it, but I did find
pegging it now because we're going to talk about this. That's coming up. So
I did find that though in the rules. I found it where it says.
Well, we're going to discuss that one in the rules and have Brian back on the show because you could not be telling people to bust everybody's fizzy.
I know. It should be locked.
That's their stat. That's what they track. That's not even like the magical fairy FTF stuff that's not real. That's a real stat.
It's in the geocaching rule book that you're supposed to change the DT rating if it is incorrect.
That I don't believe you.
Oh, I'll find it. I'll show it to you.
That's another show. You do research for that show, and that's going to be.
I'll find it.
All right, 7.4 maintenance expectation will be another show.
It does say that though.
Scott just caused another show, and that's going to be a debate show. We're going to have a debate show on that one because I can't get into it. Okay.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just saying that
pet peeves. People change. HQ should lock it. If the DT changes so much significantly that you have to change it, archive your cache. It's not the same cache.
I know. Okay.
You're going to have to do some research because we're going to have to do a discussion on that one. I can't. That one's killing me.
Oh, I got it right here. It's
there you go. Sharon took care of it.
7.3.
We don't do the show anymore.
What'd she say?
She said archive it and put a more accurate DT rating.
Yeah, I know.
That is correct. That's what you should do.
Yep. All right. We'll schedule a redo of this or a continuation of this. Yes, it will.
DT grid because
It will affect the grid.
you're only 5.5 and then make it a 1.1. You didn't find a 5.5.
I know it changes it.
All right.
It
Okay.
doesn't. Which
That's
it
two more
shouldn't.
shows we just booked. So
It shouldn't. Yeah, we'll do that, and it is in there. I read it today, which I don't agree with. I think I agree with you. If you
I think
shouldn't.
you were thinking when you read that. We're gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, it says it. It says you should. Geocaching.com says you should change it, but I don't agree. I think you shouldn't.
Oh, that's terrible. We're gonna get that changed. That's not gonna stand.
We're gonna get that changed. Okay, I like it.
History caches was our first thing we got brought back. Now we're gonna change this because that is not okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay.
While we're at it, no FTF on events. They wouldn't change that rule because FTF is not a real thing. So
yeah, FTFs are not. All right, so a couple quick notes about upcoming shows. I wanted to mention we're doing a show next week with Super Nate and Called to Care. I was not able to see them, so keep them in your thoughts and prayers because they haven't tested positive, but I think Nate's dad tested positive, and so then they were exposed to it. So Nate told us that. So when we went to Chattanooga, we were going to see them in all that. We didn't get a chance to, and the whole thing sort of collapsed. We didn't get a chance to really see people on our trip. But anyway, we're going to have them on the show. We're going to talk about an interesting Northeast. We don't talk about the Northeast enough, I think. We talk about it some, but
and we have a lot of people that were in the chat room even tonight that cache in the Northeast.
Yeah, which I love, and we're going to talk. But it's an interesting aspect of our country, and that is what can you get accomplished as far as counties and all that, because it is what it is. It is you can blow through a lot of cash, a lot of counties and states versus going across from Texas to California. You're only crossing a few states, but if you go from Texas to Maine, you're blowing through a bunch of counties in a bunch of states. So that's kind of fun to talk about. Is how do you even plan something like that? I mean, Adventure Lab. No, we didn't get an Adventure Lab maintenance. That is for another show as well. Yeah. Which, by the way, just to speak of real quickly, and that is, I did put a note on my Adventure Lab because it wasn't available, but now it is available. So I put in there in the description the new date that it was to be available based on the local information. So
yeah, I've had to do some of that with mine too. So,
and then in 2 weeks we're going to talk to Patrick Walsh. I don't know if you guys remember Patrick. We've been talking back and forth. I love, even to this day, Patrick's vlogs, not V with a not with a B as in boy, but video, are fabulous. I mean, he did such great job with that. He doesn't do them really anymore, but he does geocache some. But Patrick went on a trip recently the other direction. He went out to Utah. So we're going to talk Northeast. We're going to talk some Utah coming up. But love Patrick. He's such a great guy. And we get to catch up with Patrick on the show in a couple weeks and hear about his latest trip. And we're going to show a couple snippets of a couple of his vlogs because they are gold, very much gold. So
a lot of fun.
All right. And then there you go. So lots of shows, Puzzle Talk on Tuesday. Just love all of it. So no, not Farabee, Patrick Walsh. Geopat. He goes by Geopat. So all right. Well, thanks everybody. And here is our outro. Somewhere right here.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight, as well as our new format. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.